Hey folks, my name is Jaxsun. Today we're going to be touching on some of the changes in 9.15 specific to Fury Warriors. So, Fury Warriors get some uncapped abilities with the 9.1 AoE cap removal. Specifically Whirlwind, it'll deal full damage up to 5 targets, and then beyond that, the damage starts to be reduced a little bit. Additionally, Blade Storm will deal full damage up to 8 targets, and then it starts to get into more of a soft cap, reduced damage beyond that. In terms of specific changes, we do see that Hack and Slash has been increased by 50%, which is actually pretty solid overall. You do see that used occasionally with Fury. Harrowing Punishment, that's a Venthyr Conduit, that's effect's been increased by 50%, and that conduit specifically increases Condemn's damage dealt and prevented. So nice to see that. Definitely trying to get a little bit more of a Venthyr build and take advantage of Condemn with 9.15. Merciless Bone Grinder. It's a conduit for both arms and can be used as Fury. That's been increased by 100% of throughput, which is pretty material. The really attractive parts for Fury going into 9.15 are auto attack damage, which is usually around like the third or fourth highest damage we can produce, depending on what kind of content you're pushing. That's been increased by about 43% and doesn't affect spell ability damage. So that's about 4% overall of single target damage, but really interesting to see a little bit of that kind of auto attack buff that comes. Really what's material for us is that with Merciless Bone Grinder being buffed, it could really impact specific AoE builds. So keep an eye on what that looks like. I think there's going to be a whole ton more builds incorporating how we're going to utilize this around the improvements it provides to Blade Storm. Ultimately, if you're not familiar with the conduit, basically when Blade Storm ends, Whirlwind deals an additional 50% damage, or when Ravager ends, Whirlwind deals an additional 50% damage. So pretty exciting overall to see what that build looks like. Now on to Mythic Plus talents. It's pretty straightforward. You're not going to see a lot of major change here from a talent perspective. Tier 1, we're going with Fresh Meat. It's really the best talent for most AoE situations. Tier 2 is Stormbolt, really just giving us our only stun that we have in our kit, makes a huge difference. Tier 3 is Massacre, really extending your Condemn phase, making it 15% longer, is absolutely fantastic and super satisfying if you're playing Venthyr like this cat that we're looking at. What we start to see on Tier 4 is that Warpaint is the preferred way to go to. It's just how it provides the high uptime of 10% damage reduction. Works perfectly with the overall defensiveness of some of the other options that are here. Tier 5, we're going to roll with Cruelty. It's pretty much the go-to talent in Mythic Plus, but additionally any kind of AoE or even single target builds that you'll see. Really fun talent overall. Tier 6, you're going to go with Blade Storm. It's the strongest talent in the row, especially if you're pairing it with Signet of Tormented Kings. That's my recommended legendary to roll with if you're looking to push some Mythic Plus content with your Fury Warrior. Alternatively, if you're not even going with the Signet of Tormented Kings, you're thinking about going with a different kind of build, Blade Storm is still actually the go-to for Mythic Plus content. And now finally, Anger Management is the overall strongest talent in the row in both AoE and single target situations. So you've got just below 1 minute of Recklessness cooldown. Actually makes it line up really well with Blade Storm or Dragon Roar or Spear of Bastion if you happen to go the Kyrian route. So lots of potential synergies there. It lines up fantastic with the Signet of Tormented Kings, which definitely increases the proc rate due to the increase in Recklessness casts. And let's show that off right now. Cast Reckless and get Blade Storm. Absolutely fantastic. Cast Blade Storm. Getting some Recklessness. Like what a fantastic way. You've got Reckless that was up for almost 14 seconds there. So really satisfying way to play with the class at the moment. So what the best Covenants are for Fury right now. Venthyr is probably your strongest if you're looking at like some kind of single target or progression rating. Kyrian is really strong if you're planning on pairing it up with the Elysian Might legendary, and becomes like a pretty significant force to be reckoned with in AoE situations. Necrolord is situationally strong. That's really if you're in a group that benefits from the Conqueror's banner buff to mastery. And yet Night Fae again is another strong conduit for AoE damage and a really strong contender for progression rating. So definitely worth checking out with all the different abilities that are out there. I always love at like this point in the guide just to go check out Wowhead's got a bit of a fun breakdown that I'll pull up on the screen here. And it shows that you've got about a fifth of the class playing Kyrian, about like 1/20th or a little over 5%, 6% playing Necrolord. Night Phase at 24%, and then Venthyr is far and away the most popular Covenant of all the different ones in Shadowlands for Fury. And like I find it super satisfying. For me, a player who plays both Fury and Arms, there's a lot of fun gameplay in terms of being able to toy with different Condemn builds that are out there. I definitely recommend it. In terms of legendaries, if you do go Venthyr, the Sinful Surge is a fantastic target for single target. So if you're thinking about playing some single target with Fury, it's a great way to roll. Elysian Might, if you do go with the Kyrian build, works really well for both single target and AoE situations. Really, Signet of Tormented Kings, though, is the legendary for Fury for most AoE situations, for almost all the majority of the different Covenants that are out there. Totally worth picking it up. You get that up to 262 like you see here, and it is a ton of fun. I had previously, I was rolling with a different legendary ring, the Executioner. That was satisfying. I definitely had some fun while I was playing on my Arms Warrior, but no comparison to how satisfying the damage increases that you get from Signet of Tormented Kings. So definitely worth checking out if you're less familiar with it. Overall, 9.15 brings really good news for the Warrior class. However, some of the interesting changes that we'll see are actually just tied to what the other classes are doing. Specifically, Arms is going to really increase their damage throughput in the next little bit. So keep your eyes open for those changes. It'll definitely start to get a little bit competitive. I'm not sure if we'll see it in high Mythic keys, but Arms is on its way. We're definitely going to see a little bit more play in 9.15. Alright folks, that's it. Drop it down in the comments. Let me know the things you like, the things that I missed, the things that I could do better, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Thanks for checking out the vid, and I'll see you all soon. Later.